Okay, we're gonna make the creamiest, crispiest Parmesan chicken ever. This is kind of like an Alfredo style chicken that my wife's family's been making since the 80s. It's really good, not healthy. First, you're gonna chop up some parsley. You're gonna need about 2 tablespoons. Do this pretty fine. It's gonna be going into your sauce. Next, grate up some Parmesan. You're gonna need a cup to a cup and a half. If it's freshly grated like that, go on the heavier side. Add a pint of heavy cream to your saucepan. Put it on low. Then you're going to add in your cheese. If you like it extra cheesy, don't be afraid here. You can do like 2 cups of Parmesan. Go crazy. Then I'd add the parsley there, 2 tablespoons, and then salt and pepper to taste. You got to use the fresh cracked black pepper. It's the only way to go. And then you throw some salt in there too. Mix it on up, and you're going to want to do this first so that the sauce can sit to the side and get nice and thick while you're making your chicken. You're going to want it not quite thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, but you don't want it watery. You want it to be, a thicker Alfredo-esque consistency. Onto the chicken. Trim up the chicken, get rid of any of the bits of fat and ligaments that you don't want, and then pat it dry. That's very good for cutlets, helps the breading adhere to the chicken, so make sure it's nice and dry. Next, you're going to tenderize the chicken. To do that, take a piece of wax paper, lay it over the chicken breast, and then you use your tenderizer to pound the chicken until it is about 1/4 of an inch thick. So if it's parts of it are already that thin, skip those parts and just use the thicker parts. It's going to press out the chicken and make it nice and tender after you fry it up. Now, as you're cooking your chicken, don't forget about your sauce. That's a valuable part of the team here. So go check on it. Give it a nice stir, make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom and the cheese is getting nice and melty and it's thickening up. You prepare the breadcrumbs here. We used a Panko breadcrumb and then added probably about 1/4 of a cup of Parmesan to about a cup of the breadcrumbs. Mix that all in there. The Parmesan is very good for cutlets. It adds like a little saltiness to the breading, which is really delicious. Then you're going to put to the side in your other plate 2 cups of flour. You're going to want to season it. We did salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder. You want the flour to change color. That's how you know that the seasoning is actually going to come through. If you don't season it that much, it doesn't change colors. It's just going to taste like normal flour. 3 eggs, so you do about 1 egg per cutlet. Season it with the same seasoning you did for the flour. So we did salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder again. So add it in. Beat the eggs up, get them nice and beaten. Once that is all done and you go through each of these steps, you're going to do flour, egg, then breadcrumbs. When you're doing the flour, really work it into the chicken. You don't want it to be, caked on, but you do want to get it into every nook and cranny. So you can kind of get it all in there and then shake the extra off. Same thing goes for the eggs. You want it to get into every part of the chicken. This is what's going to help kind of adhere the breadcrumbs to the chicken breast. Add it to your chicken breast. You can start on one side and then kind of toss the breadcrumbs onto the other, and then press in the breadcrumbs on each side. Give it a couple flips, and again, make sure you get a lot of the breadcrumbs on there because that's what makes it so crispy and good. Next comes frying. It's ready to fry once a breadcrumb bubbles in the oil. Place the chicken in. Place it away from you so that the oil doesn't come up and burn you. You're going to do this on medium is the heat. But again, once the breadcrumb sizzles, that's when it's time to go. Cooking the chicken cutlet. Once it's brown on the edges, that's time to flip. If you ever see any of that less brown part in the middle of the chicken breast, you can flip it again. And you're going to want it to be totally brown like the chicken breast look like here. When it's done, you take it out. I put it on a rack over a Pyrex so there's something to drip into. Next, put in your Pyrex, cover with mozzarella cheese slices, add your sauce. You don't want it to be swimming in the sauce, but you do want to cover the chicken breasts. This is going to thicken up into the oven even more and be very delicious. You put it in the oven at 350 for about 25 minutes or until it starts to turn golden brown on the top. Then get your pasta ready, salted boiling water, and we did some bucatini here. It's a very good noodle. I highly recommend. Once the chicken is ready, you'll see it's not too brown on the top. It's just starting to kind of leopard there. Take it out of the oven and set aside. Drain your pasta. Add your sauce. I wouldn't add everything here. We like to set some to the side in case people like it a little bit saucier. They can add more later. Mix it into your pot. Then you're just going to throw it onto a plate right here. Scoop it on out. Throw on your chicken breast. You could do a little garnish of parsley. We weren't that fancy here. Just nice piece of chicken on the bed of the pasta, and we were good to go. Again, this is very unhealthy, but delicious.